Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. Anyone who listens to me knows that I have nothing but unbridled, unabashed contempt for the white media, and with good reason. I hate the racists who are behind it, and that contempt for the white media also extends to the dominant society who eats that crap up like so many hogs at the slop trough. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it if you happen to like that kind of thing, but I'm telling you where I stand on this, and this is the reason why I have nothing but contempt for it and don't like it. So sorry, not sorry, but I simply cannot separate the media that I'm supposed to be expected to consume from the individuals who create it, and by extension from the other individuals who happen to also consume it. Brother Tarian Rain has already done a video on this subject, and it's well worth watching if you haven't. Here's my 2 cents, though. Nobody should be a mindless lemming when it comes to the white media. Nobody should just simply sit back and turn their brain off and just simply let the white media dump whatever it wants into your head. Because the eyes are the windows to the soul, but keep in mind, that window goes both ways. Not only can people see what's going on in your mind, but you give other people the ability to contaminate yours. That's what happens if you sit there and watch too much of that stuff that the white media is putting in front of you. You'll start thinking that the propaganda and the make-believe the white media puts on is somehow real, or at least it's valid on some level, and it's not. As a result of watching too much white media content, there's a lot of black folks who come to believe that they can find common ground with white supremacy and its beneficiaries through some sort of shared love of, well, fill in the blank. Some hobby or activity or some area of mutual interest, be it TV or guns or what have you. And then these same black folks get shocked and surprised when the people they wanted to be friends with act like, well, the same way they've acted for 500 plus years. Malcolm X talked about that. He talked about how everything that this society puts in front of you that didn't come from the black community is nothing more than weapons to be used against your mind. Everything from cartoons to comic books to you name it. And he was right. This is the reason why it's dangerous for you to just be mindlessly consuming what the white media puts in front of you. They've brainwashed black people by pushing TV shows and movies where they depict a deracinated colorblind society. And a lot of black folks want to believe that, but the reality is these TV shows are about the only places where you see dramatizations of white society not acting racist. And because there's so many TV shows and so many movies that too many black people watch constantly, well, as Paul Mooney said, people believe what they see. And next thing you know, you got these people who are just adamantly insistent that they've got something in common with the dominant society, but that's never how the dominant society sees it. And that brings us to the case of Ashley Paxton, who was known online as Squid Kid 1111. Clearly, she was heavy into those Japanese cartoons and liked to dress up as her favorite anime characters. But it can be dangerous when black people take on this idea of community when dealing with people from the dominant society. That's a dangerous delusion that black people simply cannot afford. Now, before I go any farther, though, I don't want anyone thinking that this is an attack. It's not. But I think it's worth mentioning that while reading up on this incident, this young woman who was a cosplayer, I couldn't help but notice that the social media post that announced her death referred to her as they, their, them. Those were the pronouns, preferred pronouns, I suppose, that they referred to her by, and I have to wonder if that's what she said she wanted to be referred to as. If so, well, I do consider that to be interesting. But this is something that I and Brother Tariq and others have been trying to get through to those who consider themselves to be part of geek culture. If you're a black person who's in that kind of thing, you need to be aware of what kind of company you've chosen to keep. These individuals from the dominant society who happen to be part of the quote-unquote hobby or whatever pastime it is that you're liking, these people didn't come from a foreign planet, okay? They didn't drop down from the sky. These are the descendants of the exact same racists and bigots who have been attacking and oppressing us since time immemorial. That's the reality. And it doesn't pay to forget it. These people have lost their minds in recent years, and that's mainly because for the longest time they thought to themselves that apparently the culture of the world was basically their oyster. It was their personal property as they saw it, and these clowns have some sort of affinity for Japan, mainly because they usually respect those kind of countries that they were not able to necessarily dominate. And Japan made them very jealous for a variety of reasons. This is not to say that Japan has any love for black people. I've documented that for you here. When it came time to talk about blackface, I made sure to throw in those Asian countries in specific. That was deliberate. And so was the takedown that I did of a video game, one of those Resident Evil games over 10 years ago. letting black folks know these people in Japan are just as anti-black racist as anything you'll find in the United States. But that doesn't change the fact that even though they're racist as hell against black people, nonetheless, you still got black characters who are showing up, and in many cases, they're not being lampooned or otherwise ridiculous. Now, for white society, that sets a dangerous precedent. And as a result, what happens is they look and they see if there are black folks in this or that cartoon or on this or that video game or this or that movie who are not being lampooned, who are not being blatantly, openly disrespected. As far as they're concerned, no. We can't have like 50% respectful representation. It's going to have to be 100% or nothing. And that makes them insecure. It makes them insecure precisely because black people in our proper state, we represent an oppositional ideology to white supremacy. And the enemy knows it. So that's the reason why you see these people getting butthurt about people online who are dressing up as some sort of anime character. And these black folks are not running around doing any sort of yellow face or anything like that. They're black as my shoe. They're just dressed up in different costumes. And that's what these idiots lose their minds over. Now, the Asians don't get up in arms about it. They're not sitting here going, how dare you? The people who make these things, they're not offended. So why is it you have these white people who are trying to be offended on their behalf? The reality is, as soon as they see black people, that's what they're offended by. The only people whining and complaining happen to be these white geeks. The usual anti-black racists are whining. And that's what happened to this young lady here. Why do so many of these white geeks go insane over fictional characters and fictional worlds? Brother Tariq said it best. It's because they don't have any real heroes. We do. They don't have heroes. All they've got are slave owners, thieves, and genocidal maniacs. That's why you don't see these idiots dressing up as Thomas Jefferson. So what happened was white society had to manufacture heroes. They had to invent them. That's why Luke Skywalker is akin to Jesus Christ in their warped minds. That's what they had to resort to. They didn't have any sort of respect-worthy or decent individuals in their own ancestry, in their own history. They can't point to their culture and say, hey, here are the good guys here. Instead, all they got are a bunch of killers and cutthroats, just like themselves. Individuals whose entire existences were dedicated to nothing but stealing from everyone else and contributing absolutely nothing. Now, black people, on the other hand, specifically foundational black Americans, you look at our culture and you look at the heroes and sheroes that we gave rise to. Freedom fighters, individuals who breathed new meaning and common decency into the veins of human civilization, respected around the world. Our heroes and our icons are respected and known around the world for their decency, for doing what's right. There's no slave owners and thieves and genocidal maniacs among our ranks. We got the good guys. And for a lot of these white geeks, their problem is they know it's true. Our heroes really exist. Theirs are figments of someone's imagination. When the playing field is level, these anti-black racists lose every time, and they know that. And they're terrified that the same way the world acknowledges our greatness, albeit reluctantly, they know the rest of the world also recognizes we are the pulse of the culture, every culture. These are all a bunch of zombies running around until we show up and bring the life. We know that black people take over spaces because we have the pulse. There's a toxic brew of jealousy, hatred, and insecurity that comes from all of these anti-black racists. That's the reason why no matter what it is, no matter what the subject is, no matter what the setting is, they always have to shoehorn some anti-black rhetoric in there somehow. Because they are obsessed with hating us. That's what happens when you're insecure. These forms of media, from anime to manga to movies, they don't belong to any of these white racist nerds, and yet what they're terrified of is that when black people show up, we have the pulse. We make things hot. And before you know it, we become the face of whatever this or that subculture is. Or that subculture changes to at least become more like us. See, that's the problem that all of these white nerds have got. They have this delusion that somehow Japan is somehow some sort of analog for white American society, and it's not. They like to tell themselves, well, we would basically be worshipped over there, and sure, the Japanese definitely have a problem when it comes to bowing down to these white supremacists, but these racist white geeks have an even bigger problem with black people becoming the face of this or that subgenre or subculture. These are the same racists, by the way, who claim that they don't like race-swapped characters, but when a white kid was cast as the lead in that Avatar: The Last Airbender movie, They didn't get bothered at all by that. When Scarlett Johansson was cast as a Japanese woman in Ghost of the Shell, they didn't have any problems with that either. And the reason why is for them, that's wish fulfillment. That's fantasy wish fulfillment. They're looking and going, that should be me. I could be Japanese too if I really try hard enough. And don't get me started on Tom Cruise as the Last Samurai or Matt Damon in Ancient China. These white fantasies of some white guy as a samurai, that crap never happened. But on the other hand, Yasuke, the actual black samurai, that did happen. And it eats these white supremacists alive. So they have to try to create their own make-believe and take refuge inside of it. As these racist white nerds see it, every time that black people are shown in a way that is not derogatory or otherwise denigrating us, then that's a problem. That's them taking an L. They took a loss. They took a defeat. As far as they're concerned, they have to have 100% or they're completely and thoroughly out of power. 100% control or they're 100% defeated. So that's where all of this whining and griping and complaining is coming from. They demand that black people not be seen because we make them feel insecure. Well, that's perfectly understandable. These racist white nerds have a lot to be insecure about. Oh, but I think things are going to turn around because Ben Shapiro, is trying to make his own Lord of the Rings. I'm not kidding. I'm not making that up. That's what Ben Shapiro's doing. He's advertising on his website. This is what these clowns decided to go all in on. This is end-stage stupidity here. This is Lord of the Rings, all right. Lord of the Borings. And how much support is this, whatever the hell this is, getting from Ben Shapiro's own little fan base? Well, not much. He's got millions of people who are subscribed to his YouTube channel. Hundreds of thousands of people have watched the trailer for this dreck. And yet it's only a little over 800 people who decided they would actually give a thumbs up to it. So out of millions of potential people who could have seen this thing, less than 1,000 said that they liked it. And that's supposed to be his base, his supporters. We got the Temu version of Fox News trying to make the Temu version of Game of Thrones. That's what this is. This is just more white male fantasy wish fulfillment. It won't work for the same reason nothing they've done has been effective at supplanting us. This is the same Ben Shapiro who I told you made that god-awful so-called Western with Gina Carano, who at the time was fresh off being fired by Disney after she compared conservatives to Holocaust victims. That abomination that he made with her, it was nothing more than a PR stunt, a cheap little stunt to get some quick and easy attention for his website and to drive some more subscription numbers, which is what he did. And clearly Gina Carano didn't like the experience because she ain't been back. And the kind of lost souls who would actually watch something from Ben Shapiro, this is the exact same kind of trash that were harassing that young woman until she committed suicide. Their actions are motivated by their hatred for us, while ours are motivated by expressing our own unequaled genius. They're terrified anytime they see black people having any sort of prominence, and they go after anyone and everyone else in the hopes that this will stop it from spreading. For example, the movie Sinners dominated at the box office. This was Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan's first collaboration since Black Panther. The director of Sinners, Ryan Coogler, was being attacked by the white media because with his deal for Sinners, he actually gets the rights to it back after a few years, so the studio doesn't get to keep it. And that made them furious. Apparently, as far as the white media is concerned, only George Lucas is supposed to be able to get deals like that. Ain't no black filmmaker ever supposed to get a deal like that. Well, the movie Sinners dominated at the box office during its run. In fact, it did so well that it was going toe-to-toe with one of those Marvel movies when it came out. And yet, I noticed that Ben Shapiro didn't even attack that movie. He instead ignored it. It's like I tell you, family, you'll know when you've won the argument with these white supremacists not by them admitting defeat. They're never going to do that. But you'll know they're beaten by the sound of their silence. The success of Sinners crushed Ben Shapiro's narrative, and he knew it. He couldn't even afford to attack it, because to mention it will require him to mention that, this movie that he's attacking, it's number one at the box office. And it's going neck and neck with a $200 million Disney flick with an all-white cast. So much for get woke, go broke, huh? These stupid memes and slogans that these anti-black racists come up with is nothing more than weapons-grade cope. The real world consists of zeros and ones. The racist clowns who try to make everything from entertainment to education into a stage to attack us, they get zeros, while black folks have one. Pun intended. These people have us on the brain 24/7. They obsess over us, they fixate on us, they think about us when they're making tuna casserole. Whenever these people are driving in traffic, that's part of the reason why they have so many accidents. If they thought less about black folks and concentrated more on the road, they'd be okay. For hundreds of years, they've been indoctrinated with the lie that somehow they're special and that everybody wants to be like them. To them, that's their place in the world. And yet we, the people they spent half a millennium saying are worthless, that nobody likes us, nobody wants to be like us, we're the ones that they keep having to emulate. We're the ones who they keep having to copy and follow and who they wish they could be. That's not just wrong. To them, it's infuriating. That's the reason why they want to kill black folks. Like, we're not supposed to want to be you. They tell the world that the world needs white supremacy. We prove that it doesn't. Our greatness, our success, invalidates theirs. They just keep failing and that eats them alive. All their delusions of white superiority were lies. We keep reminding them of that simply by being ourselves. We don't attack them. We don't malign them. We don't have to. They constantly attack us because they need to. They need to confirm that they exist. Why is it that the mere sight of a black person doing cosplay, that just made these guys lose their minds? Why did that happen? Well, the reason happens to be these anti-black racists are zombies. No, they're worse than zombies. The reason that they hate the sight of us is because when they look at us, they see the pulse, they see the energy, they see the life. When they look at themselves, they don't see anything at all. We remind them of that. And what do you call a creature that doesn't see anything when it looks in the mirror? What do you call that creature? You call it a vampire. And is that not exactly what it is that they've been doing, culture vulturing off of us? And the reason that we call that mess out and will continue to call it out is these are the people who have made an entire culture out of attacking us, out of saying that anything and everything that we create is useless or is bad or it shouldn't exist. Every form of music that we've created has been attacked, from ragtime to hip-hop. They do it over and over again. And that's the reason why as soon as we see these folks trying to pretend as if, oh, well, can I play too? Oh, no. You guys told everybody that what we did was wrong and what we did was bad and it shouldn't exist. And you maligned us and denigrated us and you ridicule everything that we make, everything that we're a part of. So clearly you don't want to be a part of anything that we're doing. So you go ahead and stay over there, with the people who think that they're being envied. Meanwhile, we'll continue letting the unassailable greatness of blackness speak for itself. See, that's the difference between us and these racist geeks, these white supremacists of any stripe, pattern, or spot. They got to get out here and tell lies and try to force everybody to tell them that they're great. Black folks, on the other hand, we let other people sing our praises. We ain't got to beat our chests. Everybody else confirms it for us. And sure, they may do it through gritted teeth, but they still do it. People like entertainment. I get that. I also get that entertainment cannot be gatekept. So just because you like a TV show or a movie, keep in mind there's no way of keeping these anti-black trash out of it. What I'm telling you to do is to not let your being a fan of something morph into desiring white acceptance. Too many black people, that's kind of an unspoken goal that they've got whenever they go into these things. Going to conventions and such, in their minds, that's a way to be validated by white society. Hey, I'm here and they didn't kick me out, so I can pretend as if these people aren't racist as hell, at least until it's time for me to leave and go back to the real world. Obviously, this young woman was clearly vulnerable to the kind of targeted harassment that she was experiencing. Reports are that apparently she was dealing with depression, and that makes this doubly perilous. Escapism is fine. That's normal. But when people begin taking their escapism seriously, that is not okay. Nothing happens in a vacuum under white supremacy. So please don't think to yourself that that convention you go to or that fan chat room of this or that TV show or movie that you engage in, please don't go kidding yourself that apparently you found some sort of bubble, one that white supremacy has not and cannot penetrate. You'll be sadly mistaken if you do. The very people that you think that you're getting along with, they'll show you that it was all a lie all along. These anti-black racists see everything as being their own personal property because they're not used to anyone telling them no. They're used to having it all their own way. And what they've found, especially with foundational black Americans, is that the first time one of us shows up and it's time to challenge these guys, all of a sudden it never goes their way ever again. They know that. A lot of black folks take that for granted, A lot of black folks tend to forget that, especially if they hang around these guys too long. They start believing that propaganda that they see in these fictional TV shows. Oh, there's no racism here. Well, except for all the racism, that is. I'm not going to say that you should do what I've done and basically completely and thoroughly disconnect yourself, because I know that that's not really realistic as a suggestion. But what I will say is this: you need to be aware of what kind of people are actually watching these shows along with you and what it is that they really think. Your self-image, your self-esteem should never come from or even be influenced by some bigoted strangers online. Don't allow the white media to turn whatever kind of fare that they put in front of you, books to TV shows to movies to what have you. Don't allow those kind of things to become what the white media can use as a gateway drug to try to get you hooked on the dominant society's acceptance. First of all, there's no value to that. It's absolutely worthless. Second of all, even if you wanted it, you can't get it. And third, even if you could, how far would it get you? Look, as long as it does not denigrate or otherwise try to make fools out of black people or our image, well, if you like it, I guess you like it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm not trying to have that kind of conversation. But you better start being realistic about these other folks who happen to be in the same space that you're in. Because while you may be looking at this as merely entertainment, they're looking at it as nothing more than a race war. And you don't want for yourself to become the next casualty. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Gregory Franklin, Samuel Divers, Christopher Ellis, Bruce Cox, and Alan Reese. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.